Morning from the Lake District. Grey, gloomy, miserable. That's right, I brought my dad because Chris couldn't make it. So we're just at the head of Haweswater here, parked at Mardale Head, and the walk we're doing is High Street. So we're heading up the ridge to there, over to Rampsgill Head, along to High Raise, and then back down Kidsty Pike to the car park. Now, be careful here. As you can see, the weather is absolutely horrendous. So it's just after 9 o'clock. It is meant to clear up as we approach 10, but we'll just have to see how we go. Might get cut short this one, but we will persevere as long as we can. Try and get it done. Not sure what kind of views we'll get, the weather being such as it is, but we'll see how we go. So I just need to turn the camera off as we trudge through this swamp, and I'll film again as we get nearer to the ridge. So the path has been quite swamped underfoot, but as we're getting higher, it is improving a little bit. Had to jump over a few becks back there, and the water is cascading off the fells. You can just see it in numerous places. Wipe the lens over there, and just beyond here, we'll just walk past another mini waterfall. Dad's burning me off, and I learnt my lesson. You might remember in the Fairfield horseshoe video, the rain really came down there, and I didn't have any waterproof pants. But on the recommendation of Si, who joined us that week, I got some of these babies, the Rab Downpour 2.0, and they're absolutely drenched on the outside, but seem to be doing the job because my legs feel warm and dry on the inside. See how long that keeps up for once I start sweating. So we'll just keep powering up here. She'll find ourselves on the ridge, and then I'll film a little bit more then. So we've just encountered our first fellow walkers of the day. Just spotted them coming down the valley there. I was hoping they've just finished a long walk, but they said they've just come up the same way we have. Got to the top and given up because the weather's that bad and you can't see anything. But soldier on we will. I'm already out of breath because I think I'm 90% cheese and 10% beer from Christmas. So yeah, a bit of a ponderous one as we head up the valley here. So I think Blee Tarn should be somewhere around here, but I can't see it. Possibly down there. The only place I can think it would be. If we spot it anywhere else, I'll be sure to film it. Let's catch up with the old man. He's putting me to shame. So, yet again, my navigational senses have been found wanting, because there is Bleak Tarn. I thought it was much further back that way. So it was quite calm as we were coming up the valley there, raining, but not too much wind. I think it has just dropped a bit again now, but as we came to the wall where the tarn feeds into the valley, there was a real gust of wind. But I think it's just because the land narrows, so it, you know, forms a natural funnel for the wind. That's what I'm hoping anyway. So yeah, you can get a good view of the tarn there, and Dad. So we are headed up somewhere that way, I think. So we missed the path, but it is this way, I promise, if I don't fall to my death first. Oh, it's pretty slippy here. Oh. This is the path. So as we've continued up the path and found it, the wind has blown a lot of the clouds over, so you can see first view of Riggindale Crag there that we're going to get on in a sec, and then the route basically takes us into the clouds along the ridge to High Street, but as you can see, it is pretty clagged in, so I'm not too hopeful at the moment of any views, but let's see what's up there anyway. Well, everything was going so well, I stopped to have a comfort break, which is probably more information than you need, and the Rab waterproof pants, whose praises I was singing back down the walk. The zip on the side completely split, so I couldn't get them off my foot. So yeah, there was a bit of a scene as I did some yoga poses on the mountainside, as my dad tried to pull them off. Wish I'd have caught it on camera actually, would have been pretty funny looking back. Not too funny at the time, but got them off now, and we're just on Riggindale Crag. Now this is known as the home of the last pair of mating golden eagles in England in 1969, I think. I think they were bred as part of a conservation programme up in Scotland, and then as more and more of them were born, they spread out to find new territories, and a couple of them ended up here on Riggindale Crag. So they had offspring, and I think the last one seen here was in 2015, so may well be dead, but I think there's been concerted conservation efforts again up in Scotland, so you might see a return of golden eagles to the Lake District over the course of the next few years. So we're just continuing up the ridge now, and I think this will have broken the back of most of the climbing really once we get up here, and it should just be a short walk along the top to High Street once it flattens out a bit. Yeah, just continuing along the ridge here, as you can see, it's totally clagged in, can't see a thing. In fact, I could easily just be showing footage from the last walk in Langdale, and you wouldn't be able to tell any difference. Pretty similar conditions, to be honest. It's not too cold, but I think that's because we're moving on up, so we're getting pretty hot due to the exertion. I think once we stop, temperature will drop quite a bit, or we'll certainly feel it. I think the mountain weather forecast adds feels like temperatures around -9, -10. So yeah, have to be sure to wrap up when we stop. So I think we can just see the top there, just over there, and then that should be Racecourse Hill, which marks the top of High Street, the first fell of the day. And then we hook a right somewhere into the gloom over there, and then cap the rest of them as we work our way back down to Haweswater and to the car. So we're just on top of High Street now. So called because it was the old Roman road that ran between the forts at Ambleside and Penrith, I think. Whoop. Yeah, so they'd come across the top of the fell here rather than go through the valleys, which would have been a lot more marshy and I suppose forested back then, which would have made navigation difficult and left them prone to ambush from marauding Scots who they would seek to subdue. So yeah, so we're on top of High Street. It's quite broad up here, quite cold and wet as well, but the actual summit is marked as Racecourse Hill on the OS map. Now it's got that name because in the 18th and 19th centuries they'd have local festivals up here, not at this time of year I would guess, likely in spring and summer, and they'd hold Cumberland wrestling events, athletics and horse racing. So they'd race the horses along here, hence the name, but I don't think they do that anymore. There's only soft buggers like us that come up, particularly at this time of year. So I can just see the cairn ahead there where my dad is. Not sure if you can see him on the camera through the gloom, but yeah, that's the cairn. And then we'll basically cut right, cut back on ourselves, and go along to the next one. Old Roman roads proper here, as we're heading up towards Rampsgill Head. You must have thought yourself pretty unfortunate in the Roman army to be posted here whilst your mate gets sent to the Amalfi coast, trudging along here in your sandals and your skirt. It's absolutely miserable, so you really got to love walking to come out in conditions like this, but yeah, this is why we do it. Bagging the Wainwrights, keep soldiering on, and there isn't even a pint waiting for me at the end here because I'm trying to do dry January. We'll see how we go. Now if you are coming up here, make sure to do a right at this cairn here, because if you carry on there you'll end up going over to the knot and rest Dodd, and you'll find yourself in a world of pain when you come down in the wrong valley. So yeah, if you want to come to Rampsgill Head from High Street, do a right at this cairn. Not that it'll be much use to you, me telling you that in these conditions. But yeah, we've come from High Street that way, worked our way down a bit and then up, got to the cairn, and continuing this way. Don't know which direction the compass it is. In fact, just ignore me. Trust your own navigation skills. As we've seen, mine are completely lacking. So yeah, we're hopefully going towards Rampsgill Head now. My hands are absolutely freezing. Need to invest in some waterproof gloves. I've got a spare dry pair in my bag though, saving them as a little bit of a treat. When we find a bit of shelter, if indeed it exists. So we're pretty much on the top of Rampsgill Head here. The wind is a bit less blustery on this side. It's probably going to make a liar out of me any second. Yeah, right on cue. But yeah, there's nothing really distinctive up here, apart from us two, of course. Clouds clearing a little bit over there, back towards High Street. But still can't see a lot. I don't know if you can hear me whatsoever, but I'll keep gabbing away anyway. So yeah, we're just going to keep going here. The path cuts off to the left to High Raise, which is the third Wainwright. So we will soldier on. Wind has really picked up now, just in a bit of a hollow here, so it has died down a bit. What you can see behind me there is Kidsty Pike, which is the fourth and final Wainwright that we're going to do today. But we need to get to High Raise, so the path kinks off a bit here and just goes through the mist, through the clag and up there. So yeah, it's a bit boggy underfoot here. So just navigating our way across, and be glad for this to be over at this stage, because I'm absolutely freezing. You can see High Raise quite clearly in front of us there. Just over there, the cloud did blow off and you could see for miles momentarily, but sod's law, as soon as I put the GoPro on, the cloud comes back in again. So we're back to being able to see nothing. But hopefully it is I don't know, there are bright spots up there, so hopefully once we get up here, might get a good gust of wind that blows everything off. We'll be treated with wondrous vistas, but I'm not holding out too much hope. Here we are, third Wainwright of the day, High Raise, and my optimism about getting some views up here was, as predicted, misplaced. Can't see a thing. So we've just done Kidsty Pike over my shoulder there, and the wind's really picked up on the top. I thought we were going to get blown over at one point. So we're just meandering our way down. The path is quite clear, and as is always the case, as we're on the way down, the clouds starting to blow off, and you can see the reservoir there. So we just need to cut down, end up by those trees there, follow the road round, and then we're in this next little valley where the car park is. Just about made it back to the valley floor here. It's been the first time I've been able to film again, really, because it was really windy coming down. The path was basically a bit of a river, so the rocks were pretty slippy, but the wind's died down now. We're out of it on more stable ground, and you can see horse water behind me there. So yeah, some people might know already, but Haweswater's not a natural lake, it's a reservoir. So in 1929, the Manchester Corporation decided the city needed more water, so they just flooded a load of people out of their homes. So the village of Mardale Green was in there somewhere, but they dammed it up and flooded it. And there are tales that on days of drought, when the water level's low, you can still see the old church and the pub from the village, but yeah, I believe that myself, to be honest, but recently read that that's not actually true. And the stone from the church and the pub was actually used to make the dam at the far end. So the church is still there, just not in the form it once was. And if you're worrying about what happened to the bodies in the graveyard of the church, don't worry, they were exhumed and buried in Shap, where they rest peacefully next to the M6. So yeah, we've just come to the back here. Luckily there's a bridge, because we thought we were just going to have to ford it by jumping on a load of rocks, but yeah, there is a bridge here. I think Dad's getting fed up, so am I, but the car park is just around the corner. Leave nothing but footprints. So we've just come around the other side of this little ridge and we can see the car park, so nearly back. So this here is the ridge that we eventually ended up on, although a bit further up the valley there. And then the Kentmere Horseshoe runs round here, the Nambiel Pass, which you might have seen on the Kentmere Horseshoe video that we did, the first one on the channel. So yeah, I think there's quite a bit that's accessible from here, to be honest. As for this area itself, there isn't much here, to be honest. There is a hotel on the way in on the road that skirts around the side of the reservoir, but we will be driving straight past that because I am doing dry January, but it will take every fibre of my being for us to keep going past. We'll have a chippy or something when we get home. There was just one last thing I wanted to say actually, which I was going to say at the start, but completely slipped my mind because I was too busy getting soaked and trying to figure out where to go. And that was just to say thanks to anyone who's taking the time to watch these. When I started doing them, you know, there was no intention of getting any kind of audience or anything like that. You know, I've got no experience of video editing or filming, as you can probably tell. Just did them as a sort of you know, memento of what me and Chris have done, so that when we can't do them anymore, we've got something to look back on. But I think when I last looked at the Langdale video, which was the last one I did, it had nearly 2,000 views, which I know is you know, is nothing in the scheme of things compared to a lot of YouTubers, but still sort of meant a lot really, that hopefully people were getting some kind of value out of these videos. So yeah, there'll be plenty more to come. So we've only done I think about 45 of the Wainwrights so far, me and Chris together, out of the 214. So yeah, be loads more videos to come, whether you like it or not. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one, and thanks again.